Like speaking of productions, we've got two that are coming out. We've got the Hard Knocks put on by HBO that is going to be showing the Jets. And then we've also been hit with the news of a renewal for the QB documentary or quarterback documentary on Netflix with the three new names that'll come from there. Let's start off with Hard Knocks and the Jets. Sean, you were saying that the team was real unhappy about this.
Yeah, I mean, Hard Knocks has been tremendously bad for the past few years. I don't think it's really done any teams very well, especially with the transition to a new quarterback and a lot of new players in there. Don't see it going
I
very well.
believe
I could see why they want to keep it away.
I believe the language used by Aaron Rodgers was it was forced down their throats. Like this was
The
not a choice made by the team.
No, as the NFL decided that it was going to be the Jets. They did not give anybody an option. They said, HBO, this is who you're going to. HBO gave the NFL a list, and the NFL weighed the options and said, this is the team you're going. And if I read the quote correctly, I believe it was Robert Salo, the head coach of the Jets, and said they were going to be limiting the access that HBO gets as they feel some of the moments. I believe that the verbiage used was inhumane
Cutting the players.
on the players. Speaking of like cutting them and their emotions during that time, which I agree with. I don't think that stuff should be videoed. And I think HBO has done a poor job as of late, as so much that I've quit watching Hard Knocks over the last few years. So
I honestly didn't even finish the Lions Hard Knocks. I didn't watch any of the in-season Hard Knocks.
put on by Amazon.
Oh, I didn't know that was a different
I didn't either.
thing.
So HBO does the preseason, and then Amazon does an in got the rights to do an in season basic version of the Hard Knocks, and I don't think it's done very well.
Well, it wasn't last year the Cardinals, so I
Shocker.
think that was the first year they started that.
That's true. They had a lot of hype around them, and then that's how they
I
ended
don't
up.
know. We already put athletes in the spotlight so much to put them on camera in certain moments like that. Like you apply that to let's call us civilians. Like you don't want cameras in your job interviews. You don't want cameras when you get pulled into like your office at work and like you get like reprimanded or put on a performance improvement plan or get fired. Like you don't want cameras at those moments of your life. So why are we treating these athletes like any different? Like it's just and I honestly thought it was more independent. I thought it was because I I didn't even know Hard Knocks did a Chiefs season.
Long
I
time
had
ago.
zero idea. Did
Way back
not watch
when.
Hard Knocks for the longest time. But I thought it was more independent. Like HBO was doing this, um, I guess, with the consent of the NFL. But I didn't know the NFL had so much say in it, and it kind of brings you back around to how shitty the NFL is to players.
I don't know how much the NFL has played into it in previous seasons. I think this may be along the lines of what the new CBA is, the one that's recently come out, and we'll get to kind of the whole running back thing and kind of get into the CBA later. But the CBA that's out is running for another, I think, 5 seasons. So that means that it was newly enacted. So this could be a portion that the NFL Players Association allowed or had the NFL tighten up when it comes to these sorts of things. So I think it's been in the past the NFL has allowed kind of that freelancing opportunity that you were kind of talking about. Let these companies kind of have free reign in however they do it. And now the NFL is kind of buttoning things up as the CBAs get a little more constricted even for the Shield.
And with like the team's reaction and Aaron Rodgers quote and everything, I was super surprised to see the tweet that talked about the next season of quarterback. I would not have guessed that Aaron Rodgers would have said yes to something like that,
That was a
given his
surprise.
attitude towards Hard Knocks. But I guess I'm missing the boat here.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a surprise.
It was a surprise, but I think in that instance, quarterback will make him out to be look better than he actually is than Hard Knocks will. Hard Knocks will not care what happens, while a quarterback is solely based on him, essentially.
Yeah, so the Peyton Manning released information. I believe it was on the Pat McAfee show um, earlier today, Monday the 24th. That quarterback had been renewed on Netflix for another season. The quarterbacks are going to be Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, and Josh Allen of the Bills. And I think I do agree with the Aaron Rodgers sentiment. It's odd that he agreed to it, but I think he gets to control the narrative much more because they're going to sit down and talk to him, and he gets to answer questions the way that he wants to answer questions, not so much in the HBO Hard Knocks where you don't know exactly what they're putting up because there's microphones everywhere and they're just capturing everything and then segmenting it out as it comes forward.
Yeah, I think the three quarterbacks that they picked are actually going to be a very interesting choice of quarterbacks.
Over under on shrooms and ayahuasca talk for Aaron Rodgers on quarterback.
Over under what?
I don't know how betting works like that, but he's definitely going to talk about it.
Over under uh, 3.5.
Under three.
Really?
Needs to be
Three
three.
and a half. What?
He's going to talk about it three and a half different times.
How many times he talk? How many different times
Oh,
Aaron Rodgers talks about ayahuasca or shrooms? 3.5.
I think it's going to be one segment.
One very long segment.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
Aaron Rodgers talking about his mental state and how he's prepared for the season, and yeah,
How he spent 2 days in darkness, but he actually had people deliver him food. Got to see the light.
Living in a hole, man. What do you think of his
it's
haircut?
like no,
The
you
dude
should
went from.
you should cook your food in the darkness.
What do you think the haircut? I was surprised to see him go to New York and clean himself up a little bit.
I think it's long overdue. I think he looked like shit with long hair.
Yeah.
I rock it much better than he does. He's a really bad knockoff John Wick. Um, yeah, that's enough.
Speaking of another guy that we don't like very much, there was some exciting news that came out from the NFL this week. Dan Snyder, owner of the Washington Commies, has officially sold the team, being pushed out by the NFL. I don't know. I don't remember the name of the person who it is that bought it, but I believe it was for
Josh Harris.
6.06 Josh Harris for $6.06 billion. Now that may seem like a lot of money, and of course, obviously it is. That's more than 2 billion more than the Walmart family bought the Broncos for. However, part of that deal with the Washington Commanders does include land um, for a new stadium in Virginia. I can't remember exactly where that site was located at, but that part of that deal does include the new land for the new stadium that they're going to be looking at building. So over $6 billion for the team, and then they're probably going to be putting another $2 billion into a stadium. But Dan Snyder is officially gone after having done a PowerPoint presentation in an owners meeting listing out all of the blackmail he has on each individual person.
And
Each
then he got
individual person that
fined.
was in the room, like all owners.
It was an owner meeting, and he had a PowerPoint presentation with blackmail that he had on each and every single person, including the commissioner. And it did not stop them from
What do
kicking
you
him
think
out.
he's got? What do you think he's got on the hunts?
Sons come from oil money,
Uh,
dude. Here's the thing: there's not a single billionaire that is clean. Not a one.
What do you define by clean?
Every
What
single
makes them
billion,
dirty? Like I mean,
even if you look at it from just this simple standpoint that in order to be a billionaire, so there's a difference. I think it's a uh, if you look at it in 1 million seconds is like 12 days, right? But if you look at a
yeah,
billion
a
seconds,
billion is
it's
much larger than
32
a
years,
million.
right?
That's how numbers
So to
work.
get
Yeah.
I
12 days,
thank you for the fucking math lesson. Time out.
12 days versus 32 years to get to a billion versus a million. So you would never be able to get $1 billion based upon your own hard work ethic or your own labor, which means that you have to take the labor of others. And in this economy, the way that we see it, that means that you're most likely gaining one over on the workforce that you're using,
So
underpaying
you're
them
saying all
for
billionaires have had to exploit
correct.
others to get where they're at.
There you go.
What
Put it
about
in shorter terms
what
for me.
about
Thank you.
Kylian Mbappe?
Well, he'd be taking blood money, so it's not clean.
Nah.
Got him. But also on the way out, Dan Snyder was fined $60 million, which
It is correct.
after having that sale for 6.06 billion, that's chump
I was
change
gonna
right
say,
there.
what does that do? That is a drop in the bucket.
But
He's
you guys
fine.
know what that
He's
fine
not
was
missing
for,
that
right?
money.
Oh yeah, terrible
No.
fine. Whenever the what was it like the once our
It was
FBI came in and did a full on search
no,
of.
no, 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 no. It was for the season ticket holder. So there was an older lady who was a fan of the Washington Commanders and had season tickets for over it was like 15 or 20 years. And there was one year where she was, I think, delinquent on a payment or unable to make a payment at one point in time. She asked for an extension, and Dan Snyder revoked the extension and removed her tickets, took them away after being that season, had those seats for 15 or 20 years, and then sued her on top of that.
That is not what it's from. He was from the sexual harassment charges.
You can look it up.
Yeah.
Also, how
Who's
can you
gonna find
find
$60
somebody for
million
that?
for taking season
Running a
tickets?
private
Like
business, if someone misses a payment, like you have 100% the right to do what
season
you want.
tickets are
Is
not
it
worth 60
excessive
million.
and is it like petty and like not smart
There's
as an
more
NFL
to
owner?
that story than I'm leading on, but
I don't think
I,
I don't think the NFL could or
you're
whatever
right. You're
entity
right,
find
Sean.
him. Like
yeah,
Yeah, it
because
was for
like
the sexual harassment. Sorry, I read that.
yeah.
there he goes again, just spouting something so
Yep.
confident.
There's no way they're charging him 60 million for taking old ladies' season tickets. Like,
There's no authority to do that.
yeah,
He has the authority to take her tickets if she misses a payment.
and he's just an asshole
Bad business, especially with a loyal customer or fan like that. But
for a shit team.
you're a shit team.
Hopefully they get that stadium up and running. They need a new stadium bad. They can't keep having hoop flow back up and through the stadium.
Can't have the stadium almost kill a franchise quarterback. Multiple franchise quarterbacks, actually.
The nation's capital, man.
We've got
As a kid,
we've
I
got
did think for the longest time that they were in Washington State. Is very confused on why two teams would be in the state of Washington. I was like, that's such a bummy ass state. Like,
I mean, we had two teams in Missouri.
Yeah, but
yeah, but we lived here, so
yeah, it's okay.
there. I don't live there anymore.